We were studying in Germany for our master's degrees, and we were with a group of people from Middlebury College where we had studied for the summer, then went over for a full academic year in Germany. And we had both been German majors in college, so this was the next step, and we got to live over there for a year. It was a terrific year, but we didn't really get to know each other until the last 3 months of the program. And the next thing I knew, we were studying together and visiting and really enjoying each other's company.
One of the interesting things that happened was when you go on this program, they expect that you're going to speak German the whole time. So even though we were with American students, we were studying at a German university, but we even spoke German with the American students. That was expected. And as I often say, I love you sounds a lot better than ich liebe dich. So I would say that when we got to the point where we were really knew that we were very interested in each other, then we went over and spoke a little bit of English, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah. We were both interested in travel, both interested in literature, both interested in language, and we just really hit it off that way. But then the more time we spent with each other, we realized that we were really in love. And it just, it happened so fast. Everybody could see that around us. Wait a minute, how did that happen? And it was for us too. It was a lot of adjustment in a very short time, but it worked out pretty well.
And I think you know because there isn't a question in your mind. I never felt like, I just felt like this was the plan all along, even though I had known nothing about it. I just felt totally comfortable.
Yeah, and my pastor growing up had told me about how he had prayed to find the right wife. And I just took that to heart. He explained that to me. So I'd been praying about that for a while, and I just felt the real assurance that Roberta was the one. And we got through the summer all right. And then when we came home to the United States, I was originally scheduled to go to Seattle, to the University of Washington for a PhD. Roberta was scheduled to go to Indiana University. At the very last minute, at the end of the summer, somebody told me about a teaching assistantship that was available at the University of Connecticut in Storrs. So I jumped on that, applied, I got it, and that kind of opened things up for us to both stay in the East together. That was in early September, and we got married in November.
And my parents had no idea this was coming because we had only really been dating for 3 months and we were over in Europe. And so when we got back, I said, well, you know, Alan wants to come to our house and meet you. And before I go off to Indiana, because I had no idea at that point he hadn't proposed to me. So I didn't know we were getting married. And so my dad said, okay. And Alan came and he met the family and all that. And so that was the beginning of it. And my mother was wonderful. That meant she had 2.5 months to plan a wedding. She put together a wonderful wedding, and for about 350 people, which I'm just amazed that she was able to do what she did in the time that she did it. It was a 5 o'clock wedding in the afternoon, so it was dark, but it was all candlelit, so it was beautiful in the church. And really went off wonderfully, except what wedding goes on without a glitch? Very few. Well, we had our glitch.
Right before the wedding, I was in the church waiting for everything to start with the best man, and the pastor came over and said, there's been a little problem. The matron of honor forgot to bring the ring that Roberta's going to give you. And so we're going to have to improvise, and we'll use her ring and put it on your pinky, and then we'll fix it later and get the real ring. So that was the little glitch. That wasn't too bad, but it was kind of memorable.
And years later, I found out from my friend, who was the matron of honor, that that ring on her finger had never been off her finger since it was put on by her husband. So that was really meaningful that she would do that for us. It was such an important thing to her.
We spent 2 years at Connecticut, and during the summer in one of those years, I drove down to Yale every day for a Danish class. It turned out that while I was working on that summer course in the language, the guy who was instructing me told me about some Danish authors who were contemporaries of the German author that I was writing my dissertation on. And so he said, you know, if you wanted to go to Denmark, you could study these guys in connection with what you're doing in German. And we wound up going to Copenhagen and stayed there for 2 years. Got 2 years of grants, and that was terrific. So we had like a second field in addition to our German. We had the Danish and loved living there.
To wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen, saw the old queen of the sea. Once I sailed away, but I'm home today, singing Copenhagen, wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen for me.
You know, in academics, there's the term publisher perish, meaning you've got to be writing books and articles if you want to get promoted, that kind of thing. But we always like to say that our most important publications were daughter Courtney and son Karsten. And our daughter Courtney was born in Copenhagen while we were there studying. That was probably, well, that was the most exciting thing about that trip. I read the sports pages a lot, and I'd go to Danish soccer games, and I'm a big baseball and football fan in this country. And I saw in the newspaper that the Dallas Cowboys were sending a group of people to try out soccer players for field goal kickers. They were trying to find a European who could kick field goals for them down in Dallas. And I had gone to their hotel and I said, I see you're going to be in town. I just wondered if I could do anything to help. I can speak Danish, I know German and English. I play soccer, I know football. And they said, yeah, we'd like you to. So I was the interpreter as well as the guy who lined up the field. So I have to go to this Danish stadium and get the crew, the field crew there, to convert everything from meters into yards and put down all the hash marks. And then we made an improvised goalpost of a soccer goal with some flagpoles. And the second time around, Tom Landry, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, was there as well. And so I got to be his gopher, if you will. And I held the clipboard when these guys are kicking their field goals, and I was marking off who made them from what distance and whether it was on the hash mark or whatever. So that was a really fun episode.
He's a very interesting person to live with because he's an idea guy and he's always thinking about all these different things and researching all of these things. So it's great from that standpoint. And also I would say I know that he is there for me no matter what. And that just means the world to me. Through thick and thin, through adversity, through positive things, through negative things, I know I can count on him with my whole heart.
Yeah, and I know the same thing about her, that she's always there for me and always will be.